Hey guys, Miss Stans here. So we're on lesson 4 and we're still graphing linear equations. Remember that a linear equation, we've used a table of values, plotted points, the points landed in a straight line, and then we extended the points to the edges of the graph and connected them with a line and put arrows since lines go on forever. So far we've done diagonal types of lines, like slanting upward or slanting downward. Now today we will be doing horizontal and vertical lines. So these are actually the easiest kinds of lines to graph, but for some reason students forget how to do it. So just keep in mind that it's actually pretty easy, very straightforward. Don't make it more difficult than what it is. So if you could just write down the objective on the lines provided for lesson 4, that we will be graphing horizontal and vertical lines, and we will notice from the equation what type of line it is. So I am going to do now with you. Warning, we are going to get some decimals here. So we will substitute in these numbers. I chose 4, 2, 0, and -2. This is an equation we have to solve. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Kind of wish they gave me more room. I'm going to come over here. I have 2y equals 1. And when I divide by 2, I get that y is a half. The next one, we're solving this equation. We'll subtract 2. And come over here again. So I get y is 1.5 or 1.5. Over here, I have 2y equals 5, and when I divide by 2, I get y is 2.5. Finally, when we solve the equation, we have to add 2. Divide by 2. So y is 3.5. So let's plot those. 4 comma 0.5. Right about here. 2 comma 1.5, 0, 2.5, and -2, 3.5. And those points do land in a straight line. There'd be a point here. There'd be a point here. There would be a point here. Right, I'll just follow the pattern of the points so that I could add some more points so that it makes it easier to draw a straight line all the way to the edges of the graph. Put your arrows and don't forget to label. Now, you do have a quiz coming. On your quiz, I don't think it'll even be as difficult as this table. So if this table was easy for you, you're probably in good shape for your quiz. But now we're going to talk about these horizontal and vertical lines. Now, if I was there with you, I probably could have like changed this question a bit. I don't like how this table is set up. I wish that this equation was written in simplest form, right? 1x plus 0y equals 5. Well, we know we don't really need a coefficient of 1, so we might as well call it x. And what the heck is 0y? It means there's no y's. So I really wish it just said x equals 5, because this is the easy way of graphing our horizontal or vertical lines. So notice that there's actually no y in this equation. So that's why it's not a diagonal line. So it's either going to be horizontal or vertical. We're going to look and discover to see which kind of line it is. Something so nice is right here. It says x is 5. And it's not telling me what y is. So it means that x is 5 and y can be anything. Like, let's make up a number. Maybe y is 3. If x is 5, maybe y is 0. I'm just making up numbers for y. If x is 5, maybe y is -4. But x must always be 5 and y can be anything. So this, for some reason, is like a concept that's tricky for some students. They don't like that they just tell you that x is 5. It means that x is always 5 and y can be anything. Let's go plot those points that we just picked when x is 5. If x is 5 and y is 3, that's the point 5, 3. 5, 0 is here. 5, -4 is here. 5, 1 is here. So what kind of line is this? All these points do land in a straight line. Don't you agree that I should be able to fill in all of these points? And it's still a straight line. So when x is 5 and y can be anything, it makes a vertical line. We label this x equals 5. Okay, so when they tell you that x is 5, this part of the table doesn't need to be filled out. You put x is 5 and you pick anything for y, and it makes a vertical line. So we don't really have to answer this question, and we already simplified this to be x is 5. And something that I want to write is whenever you see x equal some number, and I'm just going to leave a blank box here. Whenever it's just x equals some number, it's always a vertical line. And it crosses the x-axis at whatever that number is. In this case, it said x is 5, so you could see that it's crossing the x-axis at the number 5. And it's making this vertical line. And that's how you graph vertical lines. Let's move on. So they're telling us here, this is like where my box was, that if x equals some number, this will definitely be vertical. Whatever that number is, it tells you where it crosses the x-axis. So look at this one. X is -2. You see they made a bunch of points with just a -2 in place of x. What can you put for y? Anything you want. I'll put a 1, 2, and 3. And let's go graph it. Here's -2, 1. Here's -2, 2. And here's -2, 3. Really, they make a vertical line. And it crosses the x-axis at -2, because this says that x equals -2. So right here, x equals -3, +3, sorry, x equals 3 really means I'm going to have a vertical line right here crossing the x-axis at 3. That's it. Look at, I didn't even plot any points. When it says x equals 3, I know it's vertical. I know it crosses the x-axis at 3. Can I go fill in these points if I wanted to? Sure. But I even allow you to graph it without filling in the points. And we're not going to do C. So this is like a nice summary here. When a linear equation is in the form of x equals some number that I like to put a box around, the graph will be a vertical line. Ta-da! So if x equals a number is some vertical line, guess what a horizontal line would be? Hopefully you said y equals some number. So we're going to fix this equation like we did the other one. I don't like the 0x. It means that there is no x. We don't need a coefficient of 1 in front of the y. This really just says y is 5. Y is 5. What's it? Y is 5 mean? It means that y is 5. What's x going to be? Anything you want. Maybe it's a 1. If y is 5, maybe x is a -3. If y is 5, maybe x is, I don't know, 5. If y is 5, maybe x is +3. This part we don't have to fill in. So let's plot these points. The point 1, 5, -3, 5, 5, 5, and 3, 5. Do you see how they all land in a horizontal line? It means I could fill in these points if I wanted to. And it truly is a horizontal line. It crosses the y-axis at 5 because it says y equals 5. When y equals 5, it means it crosses the y-axis at 5. So this will always be a horizontal line. We can make ourselves a little note like what we did before. That box represents any number. This will always be a horizontal line. It will always cross the y-axis at that number. And again, we don't have to do this. And this simplified, we said, was y is 5. So let's go do our practice. So when y equals some number, remember it means it's horizontal. It means it crosses the y-axis at that number. So right here, y equals -2. It means that the y has to be a -2. X could be anything. I'll put a 1, 2, and 3. We'll plot those points. 1, -2, 2, -2, 3, -2. Definitely a horizontal line crossing the y-axis at -2. And just like before, you don't even have to plot the points if you don't want to. Y equals 3 means it crosses the y-axis at 3. No, I'm not going to do that. So when a linear equation is in the form of y equals some number, the graph will be a horizontal line. And that's that. Really, horizontal and vertical lines are supposed to be the easy lines to graph. So this is where your homework starts. We're going to go simplify. I'm having a hard time right now. What the heck? We're going to go simplify some of these equations because I don't like how they're written. On your quiz, they'll be written a nice way. I don't like this. I wish it just said y equals -2. Number 2, it's nice. It says y equals -7. Number 3, I want to make it look nicer. I want it to say x equals 1. Number 4 is nice. It already says x equals -3. Now number 5, star it please. Because do you notice in number 5, there is an x and a y, and I can't like simplify this equation anyway. When there's an x and a y in your equation, this is a diagonal line. So you have to do the table of values. On things like number 1, 2, 3, and 4, some of those lines are horizontal, some of them are vertical. So if we wanted to remind ourselves, you go back to these notes here. When it says x equals a number, it's a vertical line. When it says y equals a number, it's a horizontal line. But if there's an x and a y in your equation, it will be a diagonal line. How about for number 5, you pick -2, -1, 0, 1, and I'm going to add another row 2. Remember my favorite numbers? Those are my favorite numbers to pick. I usually plot 5 points. Let's look at number 6. This is also a diagonal line. Let me remind you that when you have a fractional coefficient, you look at the denominator. The denominator is a 3. And you pick numbers that are multiples of the denominator so that you don't have to plot fractions. So let's pick 6, 3, 0, and -3. So if there's an x and a y in your equation, it will be diagonal. If there's just an x in your equation, it will be vertical. If there's just a y in your equation, it will be horizontal. So hope to see you soon. Bye.